Okay, we are here October 25th, 2008 with the Papadoc coming up on the Hard Times segment. Action.
Well, it was back in the middle 50s, I guess, after the Korean War, 1952, 53. Things were really, the government has a way of just taking the money off the market, and it really was. There's an old movie that came along with Hard Times. Well, it was Hard Times back then. I remember getting a $17.61 electric bill, and I couldn't pay it. Had 3 children at that time. Lived in Farmington. Bought the home from my brother Russ. And I couldn't pay the electric. So I went to my mom and I said, Mom, I hate to do this, but I can't pay this electric bill, $17.61. It was the first and last time I ever did that because I think it made an impression on me that I just couldn't operate that way. And I got to the point where we sold tires, but I got tired of selling tires. I could sell them, but I didn't want to sell them anymore. And so my brother Russ said, listen, you want to do something else? I got some ditches to be dug down here at Greenbar. I said, I'll put you working, and come to work and just dig ditches. You can do that way, you can get rid of your frustrations, whatever. Well, I took the job on, and for about 238 hours, I remember it real well. It did make an impression on me. Worked the entire summer, driving a little 49 Chevy from Farmington to Fairmont, digging that damn ditch in that clay soil. And finally, after 238 hours, I went to my brother and I said, well, it's done. Russ said, you got your time? I said, yeah, I got 238 hours, I'm looking for a big check, got 3 kids, all summer long. He wrote me a check, $238. I said, what the hell is this? He said, that's what you worked for, $1 an hour. I said, I can get anybody to work for $1 an hour. Well, he was trying to make a point. He made his point all right. I wanted to tell him to stick it, but I needed the money, so I took it under all adversity, and I, ate crow, and I took the check because I needed the money. And I made up my mind then. I said, I'm going to get into something that I can do, that I like to do. I started selling. So I went in the ice cream business. I thought, well, Dairy King, Dairy Queen, big deal. Went to the bank, got a loan, $15,000, built a building, got the Taylor ice cream machines and set all of it up along 250 there in Farmington. And, well, you could have 50 people there, and at the end of the night, you had $28.12 receipts. I mean, what are you going to do with that? Well, that went on and on and on until the September came, and it got cool, like the evenings. In fact, 1953, 54, 55, hell, they didn't have 2 cars after 7 o'clock at night go up to 50. I mean, there was no drive-in business. I mean, there just was no business. Well, that was a complete failure for me. So we had, my uncle came from Italy, and worked for my brother Russ. And Russ got him a job, kept him up at the house, which was pretty generous of him.
What was he doing?
He was carrying concrete for the people that did drywall back in them days. They didn't have the particle board. They didn't have the what do you call that? Drywall, sheetrock. They didn't have that. They did plaster work.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was carrying for $1 an hour. Excuse me, for $1 an hour, he was carrying these heavy buckets of plaster that cut into his hands, and he told me, he said, listen, he said, why don't you go to Cleveland someplace where I hear these guys talking about you can get a job in a factory, make good money, and clean work. And
this is what Uncle Batista told you.
He's telling me.
Yeah.
He said, then when you go there, then bring me up there and I'll get a job. Well, that was far-fetched, but I said, I had to do something. I just couldn't lay around all winter long and not work.
Yeah.
I said, I think I'll, leave the family, go up there, come home on weekends, and I did. And, that time I think they started you like $2.75 an hour, which was big money back in 1955, whatever. Well, it wasn't long. I'd come home every couple of weeks. There was Uncle Batista. Hey, bring me, you know, this guy can't talk. How the hell am I going to get him a job? Under all adversity, he came to, God, he conned me into bringing him. I wanted to bring him. He didn't con me. I just wanted to bring him. I said, all right, we'll try it. And when we got there, I had this Italian foreman that right away, Uncle Batista gave him a gallon of wine and a carton of cigarettes like we do, you know.
Yeah, I think we got this.
Yeah, we
we
got
got
this
that?
part. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we
That's
bring
good,
into
'cause that's
another
did you stop
another
it?
DVD here. No, it's not. We're gonna cut out right now.
Cut it out.
Okay, back with the Papadoc and the Green Weenie.
Back in I think it was 1934 or 35, I was 6, 7 years old. Everybody had to have a job, and back then, you know, you just almost had to work for your keep. So my dad got me a little stool, and we had a little butcher shop, and my dad used to do a lot of butchering, but we had these wieners that would stay in the meat case for about a week, and after about a week, because of low refrigeration and whatever the cause, the damn wieners would get a green scum on them. And my dad was famous for finding out how to remedy that, and so he got me a stool and some vinegar water, and I wiped those wieners off, and they came clean, and it killed the smell of the stench that maybe they'd picked up a little bit after a week. But we had to sell them damn wieners, and we did. Well, anyway, we go from there. We had
What were your other brothers' chores? You guys lived in the. You guys all slept in a room and.
well, then we went and then advanced in age, 10, 11, 12 years old. We went to Carolina, and we had 3 rooms there. That one was a kitchen where we had a pump that you run with a handle from a cistern water well down below the house that we built, and that's how we got our water. There was no heat. Nani had a cook stove in the kitchen, big iron stove that every Saturday night the boys would get in a wheeling number 3 tub, stand in the middle of that thing with a little warm water, soaked up, colder than blue hell. And Nani would pour that warm water over your head after you soaked up, and then get your ass out there. Next, there's 4 of us that went in there every Saturday night. It was bath night. Put them long underwear on. Then I had a brother Sam, Doc Sam, who was the pisser of the family. He'd get in bed, and by 2 o'clock in the morning when the fire went out, had a little fireplace. Hell, there was an inch of ice on the inside of the window that was in the room where we slept. And about 2 o'clock, almost like the train would come down the tracks, Uncle Sam, he would just piss all over everybody. Long underwear and all, just everybody got up, soaking wet. How in the hell could you get back to sleep? Well,
You guys all slept in one bed?
we all slept in one bed horizontally because you wouldn't fit vertically, so we slept sideways. And that was one bed in one room. Now, we're all better people for it because we're all pretty successful in our own right, you know. But I wouldn't trade it for anything else because of the experience for me. But anyway, we just keep on going, and everybody had their own job, and
Why didn't Uncle Sam get up and go to the toilet?
well, in your sleep, you know, he couldn't control his bladder, and he let it go, and by the time he realized what happened, we were all soaked. Especially me, because I slept beside him.
Did you guys have a toilet in the house?
No, are you serious? We had a 2-holer about 100 yards away from the house that you had to take the honey dipper. We call it the honey dipper. Big porcelain pot that you did your business in. Everybody went into the Judah in that pot. Now you didn't have Charmaine or the quilted toilet paper that we're used to nowadays. I mean, you had a Sears Roebuck catalog that your rear end turned into aluminum tush. I've got to have the toughest tush. I had never had tush problems like a lot of people. I mean, it's just a known fact. That Sears Roebuck, they make fun about the Sears Roebuck catalog, but that's what it was for toilet paper. We never had Charmin and all the other stuff.
Okay, back with the Papadoc. with Uncle Dominic in Oakland?
Well, I finally get to California. The company moved me there, and I didn't have a place to stay, so the big boss man said, "Listen, we're going to put you in the Oakland Athletic Club. You have access to just signing for your food and your drinks, whatever you want. It's your place. When your family comes, you got the whole top floor of the Detroit Athletic Club." Well, that was pretty good pickings, and so every day I'd go look for a place to stay, and every time I tell these people, I got 6 children, well, they just frowned on me, and there was no place to rent. Nobody would rent to anybody that had 6 children. So anyway, finally, at long last, after I stayed there for 30 days, I finally found a place. A guy was going to go to London to build a new plant for Colgate-Palmolive Company, and I just happened to catch him just right in Lafayette, California. It was like 5 or 6 bedrooms, 3 stories, good area for $250 a month. It was an absolute steal, and I signed a lease for 2 years.
This was like outside the city, huh?
It was in Lafayette, California. Oh, creme de la creme, close to the interstate, close to everything. Just suited me fine, because I could, 13 walnut trees, and it was right next to Walnut Creek, California, and so it's pretty good living. And I knew that my brother Jack had been in the Navy, and called Uncle Dominic and Aunt Constance that lived in Richmond, California, and went up there one weekend, and boy, they just treated him royally. They was glad to see him because they'd first member of the family for a long time. And so when I got to California, Jack told me, he said, "Look up Uncle Dominic and Aunt Constance because they'll be glad to see you." Excuse me, not have anybody there, so I did. I called him from the Oakland Athletic Club, and I said, "Uncle Dominic, this is, Peter Manasso, Jack's brother," and oh my God, he said, "Oh, you gotta come see us." And I said, "Well, I'm in Oakland, I got no car, I don't know the way around." "Oh," he said, "it's easy." He said, "What you do, you come downstairs and you see the sign. When you come out on the sidewalk, it'll say Bus 13. Just get on that bus, and when you tell them you want to be dropped off at Richmond, I'll be there waiting on you." Well, I said, "All right, let's try it, And sure enough, that's exactly what I did. When I got off that bus, there was Uncle Dominic with that white wavy hair and them blue eyes and copper tongue skin. He knew who the hell I was, and we was just a real thing that we just hugged and kissed. And he took me over to the house, and Aunt Constance, of course, famous for her pasta and meatballs and consomme pasta and all that stuff. 2 little bedrooms. And I had to stay there that night, and it was really a fun deal. You talk about a welcome. Well, then I became the manager of Simon Stores, 40,000 square feet of like a Sears and Roebuck store that was new in Richmond. And to make a long story short, I made arrangements to get Aunt Constance a new double door refrigerator and a new 27-inch TV, and no, they just thought I was something else. And of course, we did what we had to do, and then I got Johnny Marciana and Katie Rampoldi and their kids, and got them all jobs at Simon's. And it was a real fun thing. They appreciated me, and I really appreciated them because it was a little bit of home. And then, of course, after 30 days, I did finally find a house where this guy had gone to the Colgate-Palmolive Company to London, and got his home, and then moved my family in. They just, Deacons moved me from Florida to California, and there we were. But it was quite an experience because these things, and it was all because of my salesmanship. I didn't want to sell, but invariably, that's what I did, and that's where my success was. I just had no formal education about selling. I don't know the first thing about reading a book and selling. It just comes natural. I mean, I got my education way back in Glen Elk when I was 12 years old and did school work for 4 years in high school when my brothers went to war. So I learned pretty quick, and I just, if you get the confidence of your customer and they believe it, then you're in. You can sell them anything. And that was my forte. But anyway, have we run out of time yet?
No, we're good. Going good.
A little bit more time?
Yeah, we got time.
Well, let me have a little drink of this red eye. Just trying to think of a quick story. Uncle Dominic, Aunt Constance would fix him up a little, like a half pint of wine, maybe a pint of wine, and a little, like a pepperoni roll with an anchovy. She'd bake it and a boiled egg, and he'd take off, and he'd be going all day down to the Golden Gate Bridge. That's where he fished every day. He had blonde hair and them blue eyes. The guy turned copper, and he was a piece of work. He told me, he said, tonight we're going to have pasta, and tonight I'm going to make you dessert like you never had before, and I'm going to tell you something. This guy had English walnuts fresh from the trees. He had them in the freezer, and man, he'd make a banana split on a table like this. He'd load that thing up after we ate pasta. It was so different, so heartfelt and warm and everything that just made you welcome into flowers in springtime.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What did Aunt Constance do?
She was a cook. And could she cook? She cooked for Pat Brown, governor of California, for years. He would come up from Los Angeles to Richmond, and he would call her and say, we're going to bring 30 people, 40 people, and she'd prepare the food at the Galileo Club in Richmond. She cooked for Pat Brown. Now, Jerry Brown was the son, and he became governor, I think, Jerry Brown. I think Jerry Brown's still living, his son. But this goes way back, and again, Uncle Dominic and his sons never had a damn minute's worth of music lessons. But hell, he could play a banjo, guitar, and his boy could play the drums and the trumpet. And one night they got into a session, and boy, I tell you, everybody got feeling pretty happy, and they played music like you wouldn't believe. Someplace I got a tape where I was dancing with his only daughter, Dolores. And we really tore up the floor one night, just really getting it on. But anyway, had a lot of fun.
Got about a minute 45, so we can cut it.
Yeah.
Or we can.
Yeah. At long last, this fellow from York, Pennsylvania, or someplace up north of Harrisburg said, "Honey, we got a few days for vacation. Let's go on a vacation. Been a long time since we went down the highway." And she said, okay, she'd like that. So they take off in their car, and they got to the gas station, the first gas station, and he told the gas driver, the attendant, he said, go ahead and fill it up. And in the meantime, he was cleaning these windows, and like they used to do in the old days, and he got a little conversation, and the attendant asked the guy, he said, where are you going? He said, well, we're going to go to a lot of places south of here, and I used to be a truck driver and used to drive, and I know the routes pretty good. My wife's never seen some of these places, and first one thing and then another, and finally the wife said, she was hard of hearing, and she said, what did he say? And he said he wanted to know where we were going, and yada yada yada, and I told him we were going on a little trip, and she said, okay. So he went around and wiped the other windshield and checked the tires and so forth, and he came back around, and he said he was talking to him again, and said, yes, and we're going to go down to Peel Tree or someplace like that, and he was inquisitive, wanting to know,